Hey guys, and welcome to a Unity tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a click and drag camera system in a 3D environment. So first what you want to do is come to your main camera and create an empty parent. Let's call it camera. This is where all the scripts are going to be going. Now reset the Z position to 0. Our scene is looking pretty barren, so let's give it something to look at, like a floor. Let's go into here, reset its positions. You go down a little. And then let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, cool. Now let's create a material for it. And let's make it that color. Now, you can do this if you want. You don't have to, but you can rotate the X position so you're actually looking down at what you want. Also, if you want, you can change the Y position to be as high or as low as you want. But you should really change the whole positioning in here. This is where you want to mess with everything except for the rotations. So let's come over here, add component, create a move camera script, just like that. Wait for it to load. Let's open it up. So what you want is a public float. Let's call it drag speed. And you want another public float, and let's call it outer left. And let's copy and paste it a couple more times. And then call this one outer right, this one outer down, and this one outer up. Now here you want if statement calling for input dot get mouse button 0. So that the text when you press down on the left mouse button, but you want to use button and not button down, because if you use button down, then it'll only detect it when you click and not when you hold. And now you want to make a variable called new position, which is equal to a new vector 3. And then new position dot x is equal to input dot get access mouse x. You times it by drag speed, which will determine how fast you're dragging the camera. And then you times it by time dot delta time, which will make it consistent. Let's copy, paste it, change the x axis to the z, and change the mouse axis to the y. Because when you're moving your mouse, it moves on a 2D plane, only on the x and the y. But in here, you don't want to use the y because that'll make it move up and down versus left to right. Now what you want is another if statement, and this one's going to call for game object dot transform dot position dot x is greater than negative outer left, and game object dot transform dot position dot x is less than outer right, and game object dot transform dot position dot z is greater than negative outer down, and game object dot transform dot position dot z is less than outer up. And then this confines whatever you do inside of your box that you create within the variables of each float. So now what you want to do inside of here is transform dot translate negative new position. So whenever you're inside of your box, whatever size you want, it'll move in between it and it won't go outside of it. But if you go outside of it, then you won't be able to move it again. So we want to prevent that. So if GameObject.transform.position.x is less than outer negative outer left, or GameObject.transform.position.x is greater than outer right, or GameObject.transform.position.z is less than negative outer down, or GameObject.transform.position. Oh, what'd you do that for? .c is greater than outer up. So this will check whether it is outside of where you want it to be in any of the areas. So if it gets outside, you want to do transform.translate, and then you want to do the opposite. So instead of new position, negative new position, what you want is new position. So that if you get outside, then it'll move in the opposite direction you're trying to move, pushing it back inside. So now if we go back into Unity, let's make the drag speed 2, and then let's make the confining area 10. So if we click play, as you can see, we're moving around. Now once we hit out 10, we'll stop moving, and then we gotta move back. And same on all the axes. Okay, that works. And if that's all you want, then you can leave now. Because what I'm going to continue on is how to make it zoom. So you could, what I'm going to do is make it mobile friendly to where you can actually use a slider on the left hand of the screen, wherever you want, to make the camera zoom pan in and out instead of using a scroll wheel. So what you want to do, go into here, create UI. Let's create a, where is it? A slider. Now let's click on, you can name this whatever you want. I'm going to call it zoom. I'm going to click 2D, click on the canvas, and now you can put this wherever you want. And I'm going to scale it up a bit and rotate the Z to -90. You'll see why it needs to be 90 instead of negative instead of positive here pretty soon. Position it wherever you want. Now what I'd like to do is come in here and change all these variables to 0 so it actually fills the entire area with everything. Now you don't have to, but I get rid of the handle because you don't need it. It's just in the way. Okay, now we got a slider on the left side of the screen. So now let's go into We can get out 2D and go back to where our camera is. We don't. Now let's go into here, set up the script. Now what we want to do is add a reference to it. So what you want to do is come up here and go into using Unity Engine .ui. So now we can come down here and go into public slider, and we can just close slider if you want to spell it right. Okay, and that gets a reference to it. And then we want a public float slider number, and then we want public float num representing number, public bool can move, which will equal to false. No, not false. This one you want to be true. When you start the game, you want it to be true. And public bool reset, which will equal false. Okay, so in the start function, what you want is slider dot max value equal to, actually let's make two more variables. Let's make a public, oops, not that, public float max zoom out. Then we can copy and paste this, and max zoom in. So let's create the max value to max zoom out. Let's go to slider dot min value equal to the max zoom in. I don't know if I have these in the right position, but it doesn't really matter all that much. So then let's set the slider dot value to, let's create another one, float base value. If we go into here, base value equals max zoom in plus max zoom out divided by 2. So what you get is half, you get in between both of those, if my math is correct. Base value. There we go. So slider value will equal base value when we start it up. Then slider num will equal slider value. Slider dot value. Okay, so let's hop into Unity and see if that works. Okay, let's grab our slider, put it right here, and then max zoom out, let's put it to 75. Let's put max zoom in to 45. And now if we click play, that is not correct. Or did I just do this wrong? Let's put these in parentheses so it does these first. There you go. Now it works. See? And now the value is right dab in the middle. Okay, cool. So now you can mess with those values, and the base value always be in between. Okay, so if you're playing and you get it to a certain zoomage that you like, you obviously don't want to change it every time you enter the game. So let's save it. So in the start function, let's go slider dot value equals player prefs dot get float. Let's go SV, short for slider value, and then go to base value. Yeah, and down here in the input, what you want is put in and can move equal to true. So now if we come down here, let's get out of that, and now let's make a new one. If slider number is not equal to slider dot value, so this will detect if your slider is moved, can move equals to false, and then slider num equals slider dot value. So basically what this does is it detects whether you're moving the slider, and if it is, you won't move around the screen. Okay, so now let's go into if reset equals false and slider num equals slider dot value. Reset equals true, and then num equals to whatever you want. What you can do, you can set a number there, or what you can do is come up here, public float. Let's call it wait time. Set it equal to wait time. Okay. Now down here, going along with saving, what you want to do is update it. So what you want to do is go player prefs dot set float. We got to reference our SV to a float, and then slider dot value. Okay. Now what we want to do is go into a void fixed update. You can do this in the update, but with fixed update, this will calculate the same whether or not your frame rate is whatever it is. It's always good to put things like this into a fixed update. So if num is greater than 0 and can move is equal to false, num minus equals time dot delta time. So it detects if our number is higher than 1, which will equal to wait time, and can move equals false. And it'll count down the num per time, so it'll go down 1 per second. So it practically creates a timer. So if we go down here, if number is less than or equal to 0, so if it reaches 0 and reset is equal to true. Can move equals true. Or reset equals false. So let's come into here. Now, let's put wait time to something a little like 0.2. You don't want it to be too high, or else it'll take a while for you to be able to actually move your camera again. Now if we click play, it can move around all fine, but if we start messing with this, we don't move. Okay, I forgot something really important to make this thing actually work. What you want to do is reference the camera, so camera.main. So look for the main camera dot field of view, so the FOV equals slider dot value. So now if we click play, we zoom out. If we bring it down, it'll zoom out. If we bring it up, it'll zoom in. As you can see, while I'm moving this thing up and down, we don't move, because if you look, can move equals false, but when we stop, can move equals true, and then we can continue moving around. So let's say we make wait time like 10, and we start moving around. See, num goes all the way up to 10, and we can't move, and we gotta wait till it counts all the way down. Then when it should reach 0, then we can move again. This is why you want it to be something relatively really small. So let's say, and you can change this to like, not 1,000, say like 100 or 25. Come in, base value equals to that. But if you do change it, what you want to do is come into edit, clear all player prefs. So whatever it's saved at, it'll wipe it. And then you can zoom out, and then you can zoom really far in. I don't know if you need to do the delete player prefs, but it's probably a good idea to do. No, it's not. Don't do it. Ignore everything I just said. Okay. Don't clear all prefs, because if you use it for saving stuff, you're testing stuff, and you need to get far, and you reset it, and then it's just a whole big mess. You can if you want, not recommended. So that's how you create a movable camera in a 3D environment. So now you can export this to a mobile device, and it'll work all the same. So thanks for watching. If you have any other questions for this, just let me know, and I'll might answer. I might not. I don't know. If you want other tutorials, let me know. But other than that, thanks for watching.